Welcome to this segment of the Cool Down here at the Tough Talk Real Estate Podcast, where we help you reach your real estate goals quicker by asking the toughest questions. Today's podcast is brought to you by Weimer's Insurance Group. You can reach out to them at 281-344-2557 or reach them at weimersinsurance.com. David Weimer's recently saved my wife and I over $6,000 on a commercial real estate policy. He can save you money on homeowners. He can save you money on business insurance or, of course, commercial insurance. Feel free to reach out to them. Again, the number is 281-344-2557. Today, we're going to look at the segment that we had with Joey Kilcommins, one of the most successful developers Katy's ever seen. He built custom office neighborhoods, and I took so much from that podcast. Besides Joey being the most relaxed guest we've ever had, what did you take from it, Kevin?
The guy loves his watches. He knows his watches, and he came sporting in style. Right. My kind of guy. No, we were talking on the side, right. And what really resonated with me was when I said, "So, are you in any other areas other than Katy?" And he said, "Nope." Right. Said I tried one other area, Cyprus, and it required a whole new rebuild of a system that I just said, I'm going to go back to Katy, and it's what I know. So he's sticking with what he knows. But the fact that I know you remember this part where he said he can pull up to a pile of dirt, look at the parcel, right, and in 30 seconds he can pull his GP, his net, what he's going to do, how many parking spaces it needs. So it makes a lot of sense to stick in those areas, because of regulations, rules. But also, when you build systems out like this yourself, he can just, again, pull up to the property. He's not having to run anything. He looks at that property with his system in place and knows in about 30 seconds, is it going to work? Is it going to be profitable? And how much profit?
It's funny. When I worked for Nestle, there was a line, we don't want to be a mile wide and an inch deep. We want to be an inch wide and a mile deep. And Joey Kilcommins and his group that he worked with before, to be fair, has probably sold over 100 buildings, medical buildings in Katy, Texas, a town, that's located over a few square miles outside of Houston. He has sold over 100 buildings, custom buildings in that area. And before he's done, it'll be 200 or 300. He's made a very good living in a very narrow, inch wide, mile deep business. And like you said, because of that, he knows if it's close to a hospital, that's where he wants to be. He wants to be close to retail, but close to hospital is more important. And he's gotten to a point he can work all the numbers in his head. He's seen just about everything in Katy he needs to see, and he knows that's where the money is for him.
Well, in the fact that he created that draw or that niche, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, his huge surge was after COVID, kind of during COVID, where a lot of these business owners were, considering retirement. Maybe it wasn't time enough, but the hassle of getting back all the way into Houston, driving, spending that, 3 hours a day in gridlock, or I just opened my practice in Katy. I've got my own self-sustained office complex or office park condo. And that is really what it is it's, you have a unique space. If it's a 2-story, you can occupy the top floor and lease out the bottom. And then now, what are you looking at? It's turning you, and he's basically getting his own referrals by the fact of, how many has David bought from him earlier? And you occupy one. So you see this, and then they're like, whoa, I'm getting my mortgage paid from my tenant. Why not get a couple more of these? So the thing that blows me away is the guy's got, before he finishes putting the last cut on the curb or the last nail in the wall, I think he's probably already at 100% sold. Yeah. So It's probably because he's got a pretty good broker behind it selling those things. No shout outs, but I'm sure you'll shout.
The
But
sales guy's pretty
it's
good.
amazing,
Yeah.
man.
And modest, I think, is the most important.
Yes. But systems, and expand a little bit on that system and how he came about that, Tim, because that was real interesting too.
And he gives a lot of credit to his mentor, Gary Hennessy, who, he said that he's like, look, I didn't create this segment, although I think he's taken what Mr. Hennessy had and improved it by putting more modern, stylish buildings in place. Mr. Hennessy's look more like kind of houses, and Joey kind of took it to the next level where they look like these really nice custom offices. But Mr. Hennessy, I think, really kind of created that concept. He tripped over it. I think it's really interesting when fate tells you something. There's that saying, when someone tells you who you are, I think it's Maya Angelou, but I'm not sure. When someone tells you who you are, listen. I can't remember who used that quote. I have to give them credit. It's not mine. But sometimes when business tells you what it wants to be, you need to listen too. So Gary Hennessy built a building for himself. The whole idea was to move into himself. And then a doctor came up and said, I want to buy it. Gary said, it's not for sale. And the doctor goes, well, here's my number. And Gary goes, actually, it's for sale. And then he started building a second office for himself. And someone came along and bought it before. So he was a home builder, right? Home builder. He was building an office for his home building company. And people kept waving their hand saying, I need an office. And then he's like, well, maybe I should go do this. So sometimes when your business tells you what you are, you need to listen to it too.
100%.
And I would say I've done residential. I did residential about 17 years before I ever dipped my foot in commercial. And although myself and my team sold about 3,000 houses now, commercial, when people keep bringing you $15 or $20 million projects and waving their hand at you going, hey, we want you to do this $15, $20, $30 million project, you're like, maybe I should go do that. And Mr. Hennessy listened to that early on. And when Joey got involved, again, he gives Mr. Hennessy credit, not me. When he got involved, people started going, hey, we like these modern buildings. And they kept telling Joey, like, hey, we're looking for modern. He went and did that. And that's when his business really just blew up, when he started delivering these really modern, business-looking businesses that didn't look like Mediterranean homes or a Texas ranch, right? And a lot of the original buildings look like that. So sometimes you have to listen to your business. And I think Joey does that better than anybody. So,
sure. And I mean, a lot of that came from that experience on that neighborhood side of let's get rows done at a time. I mean, and it's applying those, but then like you said, listen to the business that's talking to you. Right. That's what was just so crazy. And you see these things, they come up quick. And, if you were talking to somebody and they were looking to, because those price points, they're similar to those, custom built homes, and they're looking and they're trying to decide, do I make an investment? I'm officing out of a WeWork, or I'm renting a space from a network of doctors. That value, it's the difference between that cap rate, right? And you get that thing stable, you've got a tenant underneath it. Wash, rinse, repeat, right?
There's a sales pitch that I use, and with your permission, I'll use it here. Like when someone comes to me and says, we're going to buy a commercial building, commercial salespeople, I'm going to give you the best sales pitch I got. When someone comes to me and they say they're going to buy a commercial building, what I always tell them is, the building you're sitting in, my wife and I own. And this building is almost paid for. Now, I'm in pretty good shape for, a 58-year-old guy, but I'm still a 58-year-old guy. I can't do this forever. But my building can outlive me. My building can pay for my retirement. It will. We collect $12,000 plus to $15,000 a month rent from this building. Most people call that a retirement. It can pay for our retirement. It can pay for our grandkids' way through college. This building can be the reason that 2 generations from now, someone looks back at a picture of you and their dad tells them, that guy's the reason that you get to go to Harvard, right? Don't you wish someone had done that for you? Right? And when I tell that to people, invariably they say, yeah, I wish someone had done that for me. That would have been great. Well, you can be the person that does that for your grandkids by buying this commercial building, because your business it might not live forever, but this piece of real estate that your business pays off for you can live forever. And I think, when I'm pitching for Robert Anthony and Mark Elkins and Mr. Patel and Joey and all the commercial people that we get to work with, that's the sales pitch that brings it home every time. So if you're out there selling commercial real estate, there's a free sales pitch for you. Yes.
No, that's excellent. And you know, what advice would you have for those potential investors out there and in their markets? What are they looking for as far as, you know, what areas to examine for that? Is it nearby the house? Is it, you know, your first commercial investment, you're ready to pull it. So do you need to be present? Do you need to be there and often, or
for your first commercial investment, if you can, it should be an office for you, if you can. And then if your business grows, you move out and rent it to someone else, if you can. If you're just buying it for an investment, I would say, you know, a guy called me a couple years ago, and you know me, so you'll believe the story. A lot of people don't. A guy called me on Easter friggin' Sunday. So I pick up the phone on Easter Sunday, and I'm already in a pretty grumpy mood because the guy called me on Easter Sunday, right? And he goes, should I buy an office or an office warehouse? And I said, yes. And he goes, you didn't answer my question. I go, no, I answered your question exactly. And he goes, which one should I buy? And he said, which one do I have a tenant? I said, which one do you have a tenant for? He goes, well, I don't have a tenant for either one. And I said, well, don't buy either, stupid. And people who know me know I said that. People who don't know me assume I didn't, right? But he and I went on to have a long conversation. He laughed, luckily, I guess. And I said, the first thing you need to find is a tenant, not a building. So I would say, tell everybody out there, you know, if you're an investor, like, hey, if you need new office space, I'll design it for you. I will build it for you. You know, be putting that out there. And in the meantime, be finding ways to do that. So how my wife and I bought our first building is a title company went to a close family friend, a close family member actually, and said, I can't find office space in Katy. Do you know of any? And I said, I do. Just so happens I'm buying a building and you can lease from me. And I was buying a building the minute I heard they were looking for one.
Absolutely.
And that's how we bought our first building. So I would say, focus on finding a tenant and find a building around that. So you should be telling everybody, you know, you're looking for a tenant, you will buy a building for a tenant. You know, I have cash. I am looking to buy a building. And by the way, banks love it when you already have a tenant. They will
100%.
lend you money a lot easier when you already have a tenant. So that's the best thing I can tell you.
No, absolutely. That's, you know, when I would do those wholesale opportunities, you know, it would be, okay, we find the property. I had a whole sheet of buyers that said, well, get a tenant in there and I'll buy it.
Well,
That's all they cared about. They wanted that cap rate so they could, you know, either refi or sell a stabilized asset once they got it, right? So it was always important about that. And I quickly learned it was, you know, getting the right tenant in there. You know, I think John Martin said it back in our old, I mean, it's no matter the property type, no matter the area, you're going to have good tenants and you're going to have bad tenants. Some are luck of the draw. And so
well,
it's interesting.
The most interesting thing between residential and commercial, residential, you almost always want to sell empty. You don't generally want to sell, and unless it's an apartment complex, and I call that commercial, you can call it residential. But residential, you generally want to sell empty and make it as pretty as possible. Commercial, it doesn't matter how ugly it is. People aren't buying the building, you're buying the tenant, right?
Correct.
So if you have a great tenant who's signed a long-term lease, it doesn't matter how ugly the building is. You can sell that building for a pretty good profit. And selling an empty commercial building is not as profitable as selling a full one. There's a great saying in strip centers, all these guys who build these strip centers, build it, fill it, flip it.
Build it, fill it, flip it. You know, and then there's the old, I mean, you know, you see so many of these hospitality or food and beverage companies that they're nuts and bolts. They're real estate companies, right? You know, HEB does a great job and a lot of their sale leasebacks. I mean, they come in there, they're the anchor tenant. They build these spots with about, you know, arms of 4 spots either side to it, right or left. They get those tenants in there, sign those long-term leases, and they're closing funding for the next 2 or 3 HEBs. It's a pretty great program.
McDonald's is a real estate company. They force their franchisees to sign a long-term lease. They buy a piece of land. The franchisee's there 20 years. When the lease is up, they make the tenant sign a new lease at a different piece of land, and they go have the tenant pay for that piece of land. And then they can sell the original piece of land at a profit. McDonald's is a real estate company. Honestly, they're one of the biggest real estate holders in the world, and they're much more successful. They're great at selling burgers. I'm not saying they're not, but they're making their money in real estate. So.
And their site selection is very impressive. We were driving out, towards, and if you're out in the Berkshire area now, I mean, you're seeing some of these rural areas and certain things pop up. When you see a certain business pop up there, you're like, okay, let me find the land that's available. I need to scoop that up because it's about to double in price.
Absolutely.
Forecasting traffic counts, all that stuff is, that's why development's always been interesting to me. So it was really fun to hear Joey talk about it. And like you said, he was laid back.
My
was he
wife
that
pointed
way
out to
his
me,
whole
the guy's
life?
the lead singer of a band. This was
Nice.
Yeah.
I just think it all comes back down to the confidence in his systems and just not deviating from that.
Yeah. He's one of the most successful developers I know. He's a lead singer of a band, and I think he got to open for Taylor Swift one time or something. So
really,
I don't know if he opened. I think he got to meet her or record before or something. So I think that's it. So
multi-talented. There you go.
And he has almost as good of a watch selection as you do. So there.
Well, I know he was mentioning that Sky Dweller. That's both on our lists. It's the Land Dweller. I'm sorry. That was the hard one to find right now. So I'm sure, and hopefully next time he comes out, he'll have that one on. And
he said he wants to come back and do another one, but he wants you and I, and us all to go a couple drinks in. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Well, thanks again, Tim. Appreciate it, and congrats to our first remote recording. Looking forward to guests to come outside of Texas. It's going to be a wonderful opportunity, and as we get dialed in, this is going to be a lot of fun to have.
All right. Well, thanks for watching this episode of the Tough Talk Cool Down here at Go Long Studios, and you guys have a great day. See you next time.
See you next time.
The Weimer's Insurance Group is one of the top independent insurance companies in the country, featuring hundreds of providers. They've recently saved my wife and I over $6,000 versus a rival insurance provider. So for a chance for high-quality insurance for home, auto, business, or if you're a developer and need site development, make sure to reach out to the Weimer's Insurance Group. You can call them at 281-344-2557 or weimersinsurance.com. That's WIEMERS insurance.com. So if you like saving money, or as an agent, if you need to save a deal, reach out now.